Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective.
Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope that you're doing well. Hope you had a nice weekend. Hope you're ready for a nice all-star break in baseball. Get a chance to get a little bit of a break in your fantasy squad there. Maybe looking forward to a little bit of football as well. Maybe setting some teams up, signing up for some drafts, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk a little bit about both of those things here on the show today. Again, I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. This show, Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FG, is here Monday through Friday. Free show, obviously. Welcome. Tell a friend, pass the word on, all that kind of stuff. If you wouldn't mind, it would really help us out. Show is free Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Monday today. It's the only day where the host, me, is solo. The rest of the week, Tuesday through Friday, we visit with guests from FantasyGuru.com. All those guests come in about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. So they all jump in here about halfway through the show. Usually the first half of the show is baseball. Second half of the show is football, at least when I'm hosting the show Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Frenchman hosts on Wednesday. Sometimes his schedule is a little bit different. Why am I not here on Wednesdays? Because on Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Remember, that show was shifted an hour earlier now. So the Elite Sports Show on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio is now 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That show with Jeff is Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 Eastern. I'm on with him on Wednesdays. You can find me at Twitter X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, all those places at the Ray Flowers. You can find me in Discord answering questions all the time. Just a quick kind of update this week. This week, we've got a lot of things going on, kind of behind the scenes. There will be obviously early in the week at least, no DFS coverage, no wagering coverage. Though, by the way, you can get the DFS wagering and seasonal baseball packages at FantasyGuru.com by clicking the subscribe tab in the top right corner. You get all three of it for one price. Everything we do baseball the rest of the season for one price. So check that out over at FantasyGuru.com. So we'll be doing early in the week in particular heavy work in terms of looking at the seasonal piece. So kind of thinking buy and sell kind of pieces for infield, outfield, and pitching. Kind of what I'm thinking. So look for that here coming in the next couple of days. What do we got here on the show today? Well, there it's up on the screen. We'll do what we normally do on Mondays. We'll talk about some of the news from the weekend. Then we'll discuss a little bit about the waiver wire situation from the past weekend. And then I'll give a little bit of an FSGA NFL draft preview. I'm in the Champions League for the FSGA. That draft is tonight. So we'll talk a little bit about that football draft here in a bit. Speaking of football, you all know, right? Go to FantasyGuru.com. Get signed up for the product right now over at FG. It's rocking and rolling. Actually, absolutely, insanity right now. Articles. We have best ball rankings, IDP rankings, rookie rankings, PPR rankings, non-PPR rankings. I mean, just best ball rankings. Did I say that? Yeah, we have best ball rankings. And we still have, I think it might still be available. I think. Give it a shot. It might have run out yesterday, but you can give it a shot. Go to drafters.com. If you signed up there previously, enter the code Elite Reload. That's Elite Reload. If you've never signed up at drafters.com for their best ball tournament, you want to use the promo code drafters.com/refer/elite. Drafters.com/refer/elite. You sign up there. If you use the reload code of Elite Reload, you get a 20% bonus match. If you've never signed up there and used that website address for the first time, drafters.com/refer/elite, you get a 100% bonus match. So again, I think it's still active. It might have ended yesterday. Give it a shot. You can always send a note to support at FantasyGuru.com, support at FantasyGuru.com. Back to the draft package. That draft package includes not just best ball rankings, but specific articles actually for that drafters.com contest. Tyler Beaker, who you hear on the show on Thursdays, actually wrote multiple articles just about best ball in general, specifically rankings for different best ball scenarios, strategy pieces for different best ball scenarios, including drafters.com. So head over to FG, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get the draft guide. The draft guide covers from now through the end of the regular season. So it's not just a preseason product. It's all season long at fantasyguru.com. All right, let's talk some baseball here. Good morning, says Brandon A. It's Friday, people. Ion Lodolo, and thanks to Ray, I couldn't be happier for his performance. John G says, questions about Nick Lodolo get priority. For those of you that don't know, if you're new, welcome. But yeah, Nick Lodolo is my breakout pitcher of the year this year, and he's done a pretty good job here in the first half. A guy that's done an excellent job in the first half, but one who has become an opener with the Tampa Bay Rays is Drew Rasmussen. Interestingly, now we're hearing he's not going to be an opener. The bottom line is this: they want him to throw 150 innings max this year. Can he get to 150 innings with all the arm issues he's had? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But that's the goal, 150 innings top end for Rasmussen. So as we've seen lately with the Rays, they've been very cautious with the workload with Drew Rasmussen. He's been basically throwing 2 or 3 innings. And then, Mr. Boyle's been coming in as the primary reliever. Kevin Cash, the manager of the Rays, said coming out of the break that the first time that Rasmussen is going to pitch, and it's against the White Sox, is likely to be 5 innings. Now, again, the innings piece, I think it's more about the pitch count. Like it is, they might say his pitch count is 75, but if he throws 52 pitches in the first 2 innings, they may pull him from the game. But we are hearing that he's got a legitimate chance, Rasmussen, to go 5 innings the next time out, and it is against the White Sox. So, again, this is an issue we're all going to deal with in the second half of the season, team managing workloads. This is especially going to become prevalent later in the year when those workloads get significant, when teams start to fall out of the playoff race and all that kind of stuff. For now, Rasmussen's next time out looks like he's a starter. If he was dropped, and I would understand why he was, you might consider picking him up at least for the one start against the White Sox coming out of the break. Now, his teammate, Shane McClanahan, who hopes to help the Rays, obviously, out of the rotation in the second half, he made a start yesterday at the minor league level, so let's review how it went. Obviously, we've talked a lot about McClanahan, the ups and downs, the ups and downs, the ups. This is, he's been all over the place. But yesterday he was throwing, he threw 23 of 36 pitches for strikes. Very good ratio, 2/3 obviously of his pitches. Allowed 1 run in the inning and a third. Did give up 4 hits, which you would think, at AAA, it's a little high. But the good news is he threw strikes, and he was able to complete the effort without injury. That's the real good news. Throwing about 94, so that's multiple miles an hour down below where we used to see him constantly 96, 7, 8. So, that's something that we expect to tick up. He's going to need a handful of starts, I would think, still. He's not going to be back in the big leagues till August. And again, that's if there's no setbacks and such. There have been so many setbacks and concerns and bumps for McClanahan, as we've talked about here on the show. Really difficult to trust him or count on him to be a savior for the last month and a half, 2 months of the season. But yesterday was a good first step. So, there you go. Good first step for Shane McClanahan. We'll see if he can continue those steps forward and finally make it to the hill in 2025 in the big leagues. Former Ray, current Athletic, Jeffrey Springs, a guy that we've talked about here on the show, a guy that I expressed a lot of positivity with before the season began, a guy then who had a couple of nice outings, then had a handful of really poor outings, a guy who was probably dropped in many leagues, especially head-to-head leagues. All of a sudden, it's like Jeffrey Springs. And again, this is something that could immediately change coming out of the All-Star break because he's not a big bat misser. And these guys that aren't big bat missers do have a lot of volatility. We know this. But he's dropped his ERA into the threes. It's at 3.9. His whip is 1.18, which plays in any league. He's got 8 victories. So we're talking about a guy in Jeffrey Springs who's got a chance to win 14, 15 games with a 1.18 whip. And if you look at his last 6 starts, his ERA is 2.5 and his whip is 0.9. So, do yourself a favor. Check the waiver wire for Jeffrey Springs. I don't know if he's going to be there or not. Depends on your setup and scenario, the whole thing. But, he might be out there. And another thing to keep in mind, we'll continue to follow this as we get closer to the resumption of the baseball season in the second half. A lot of teams haven't officially announced what their starting staff is going to look like this week. So we'll have to, when we talk matchups and such, it's like we know Rasmussen's going to pitch. We just talked about it. Not every team has announced what they're going to do and what the order is going to be coming out of the break. So keep that in mind as you set your lineups this week. Especially important if you have one of those leagues where you set your lineup, this week and it also covers next week. You shouldn't have any of those. But if anyone does, keep an eye on the probables there. But Jeffrey Springs pitching very well for well over a month now. And not a lot of people are talking about him, which is understandable. Picked up that 8th victory yesterday, gave up 3 runs, 3 hits, 6 2/3 innings against the Blue Jays. Quality start. Not sexy or exciting. But again, the numbers are pretty good, and they've been very good here over the last month plus. Eury Perez on the other end of the spectrum is obviously somebody that can be a star in this league. And yesterday, 7 shutout innings against the Orioles, gave up 3 hits, struck out 6. That's 1 run over his last 18 innings. And so now the question for Perez is not, is he in midseason form? Because it seems like he is. The question with him is, how many innings is he going to be allowed to throw in the second half? And that is it. That's the question. Eury Perez right now should be owned in every league. Eury Perez should be started in I think pretty much every matchup at this point. He's 7 starts in. His whip is 0.9. Strikeout rate's 27%, which is good. It's way below his 29% rate as a rookie, but it's still a good mark. So he needs to be started every time out. Now, the issue, obviously, for him is the workload. Is he 22? He's 22. Eury Perez is only 22 years old. Okay, he's 22 years old. He did not throw a pitch, 0 pitches officially in 2024. And in 2023, he threw about 125 innings. 2022, he threw 77 innings. So, 2021, he threw 80 innings. So basically, he's at 80, 80, 120, 0. So I think his workload in the second half will largely be dependent upon how he looks, how he feels, how he's performing. Looks and feels are probably more important, because I want to get him some innings built up this year so he's not, starting from scratch next year. He's at 34 innings now. Is he going to be able to throw 75? Yeah, I think that's totally fair. Are they going to let him make a start every time out, make 14 starts the rest of the way? Not sure about that. But Eury Perez obviously rocking and rolling. Rugby 17, is that Reed Johnson in the background? I think it is. I'm not positive. It's a fight between the Braves and obviously the Brewers. Carlos Gomez there getting in the mix. I think so, Rubby. I just found the picture and thought it was kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll change it tomorrow. I didn't realize it's a little pixelated. For those of you wondering what I'm talking about, you can watch this show live and ask questions and leave comments, obviously live. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. Any of those 3 places you can watch live or on demand. You can leave comments that obviously we address throughout the show. You can always go to FantasyGuru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page to find this show and the others on the Elite Plus Network. And you can also just go to your podcast spot and type in Fantasy Sports Daily. Check us out there as well. All right, so let's continue to roll through some pitchers. Shota Imanaga returned, and wowza. 1 run, 2 hits, 7 innings against the Yankees. And Imanaga, last year was really good. We talked about him in the preseason, and things basically played out exactly as we discussed. And it was basically, he's going to miss a bat in an inning. He's not going to walk anybody, and the home runs are going to be kind of the determiner. Pretty much exactly how it went last year. This year, he's been terrific. He's got a 2.7 ERA now. Now, of course, he missed all that time with the hammy issue. Excuse me, I can't speak. But he has made 12 starts. He's got a 2.7 ERA. The numbers are starting to look an awful lot like they looked last year. His whip is actually lower at 0.93. One concern, last year he did have that strikeout in an inning. This year it's not close. This year he's at an 18% strikeout rate, which is obviously way below the 23% league average. It's not a good mark. His CSW is down to 25%. His swinging strike rate's at 11.6%. Those numbers suggest the strikeout rate will improve a little bit. But until it improves in a significant manner, especially for a guy that allows a 56% fly ball rate, and you can see this in his xFIP. His xFIP right now is 4.8. His actual ERA is 2.6. Bottom line is, unless Imanaga starts missing more bats, the excellent numbers we have seen to date in the ratio categories are extremely unlikely to continue. So if he gets battered a couple of times, here we go, that kind of thing, don't be shocked with Imanaga. He's got to pick up the strikeout rate. Since we're talking about the second half of the season, I wrote about rookies last week over at FantasyGuru.com. If you missed that, Andrew Painter was in that article. He allowed 3 runs on 6 hits in 5 innings on Sunday. He's pitching at AAA. Painter, before hurting his arm, was the #1 right-handed pitching prospect in baseball. And he is expected by basically everyone to see the big leagues in the second half this year. What will that look like with the Phillies? Will that be he's an opener? Will that be they're going to actually use him as a starting piece in the rotation? Are they going to bring him up and use him as a long reliever? Not certain. But he's likely to make his debut some point here in the second half. He threw 76 pitches yesterday. 51 of them were strikes. He allowed a couple of home runs, and his location's been a little bit off this year. So that's something to think about too. I think Painter, again, in a dynasty or keeper league, fantastic. In a redraft scenario, again, we'll see him, and he's tremendous. Just wonder what the workload and the role will be this year for the Phillies in the second half. All right, speaking of some hitters here before we talk some waiver wire, Bob Nightingale reported what we talked about here on the show directly, reading Jim Bone's article over at The Athletic. We talked about the fact that the Diamondbacks are not positive to blow up their team, but it's looking pretty likely that they're going to blow their team up. Eugenio Suarez, Josh Naylor, Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, all these guys, according to Bob Nightingale, echoing Jim Bowden, are all available on the waiver wire, are all available on the trade market, excuse me. I think all of those guys, even Gallen may not be, but the other three of them, I think, are all free agents at the end of the year, so theoretically they could come back. We talked about last week if Suarez gets dealt, maybe Jordan Lawler gets to play every day. Naylor and Kelly could be massive additions to other teams if they were to be added, right? Their fantasy outlook, unless they go to Colorado, which they won't. Boston, Fenway, maybe Merrill Kelly, So we'll watch where they go, but it's not like pitching in Arizona is super easy. That's a ballpark that leans offense anyway. But Suarez, Naylor, Gallen, and Kelly all could be dealt. And in the case of Gallen, that would be probably the most intriguing because he's looked better the last couple of times out. And maybe a new analytics department or someone new in his ear might help Gallen rediscover a little bit of what he seemingly lost because his overall numbers have been so bloody bad. Talking about the Diamondbacks, Geraldo Perdomo yesterday, we just want to hit on him because, again, I just mentioned Jordan Lawler and all the movement here. Perdomo is not expected to go anywhere. They signed him to a contract extension. We know that. He's a strong defensive player. He's got 65 RBIs. He's gone double digits in home runs and steals. He's had a tremendous season. This season really couldn't have been any better. At the same time, he's hitting 265. He's got a .413 slugging percentage, very boring, very moderate numbers. I think the real key for him is, again, he walked twice yesterday, is that 370 on base percentage. If Perdomo can keep a 370 on base percentage, he will continue to be a very intriguing fantasy option. If that number drops to 315, 320, if he's league average, he doesn't have enough power to be a 20 home run guy. He's on pace to be right around 20 steals. I don't really think that's who he is. Maybe he would run more if the lineup gets depleted because they trade guys away. Something to think about. But he's been better than I think pretty much all of us anticipated. The only outstanding number right now is the 65 RBIs. He's not a 100 RBI guy. I mean, could get there this year because he had such a great start. But he's been better than anticipated. Should continue to hit every day and play every day, excuse me. And I don't think he's going to be dealt, so he'll continue to be out there. And hopefully Jordan Lawler will be with him at some point here in the second half. JT Realmuto, longtime star at the catcher position. If I just said to you he's batting 268 with a 324 on base percentage, you'd say, yeah, okay, that's fine. That works for JT Realmuto. That works for any catcher, but certainly for him. The problem is his slugging percentage is 381, which is dreadful. It's way below the league average. 5 home runs, 5 steals. I mean, this is a guy that used to go 2015, and now he's going to go 11-8, or something like it's just not. Now, I will say the good news for Realmuto, number one, if you've got Realmuto, there's nothing you can do, right? I don't think anyone's moving on from JT Realmuto. I don't think he's on the waiver wire. I will note that his numbers look pretty poor until the last couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks, in particular the last 2 weeks, he's 18 for 41. That's a 439 average with a 1,000 OPS. And the last week, he's 10 for his last 21, which is a 476 average. Still not driving the baseball, still doesn't have a home run the last month. So though the batting average on base percentage are there, and though he's in an incredible hot run right now, when you see a guy hit 440 for 2 weeks with no home runs, it's hard to get super excited about Realmuto, but at least he's going in the right direction, seemingly healthy now and producing. So we'll see if he can continue to make that a reality for the Phillies and have a strong second half, even if it's a diminished second half, based upon expectations that were curtailed this year because it was clear he was starting to slip a little bit with his offensive game. Mike Trout walked a couple of times, had an RBI yesterday. Just wanted to touch on him, kind of like Realmuto. Trout's fine. He's got a 365 on base percentage, which is okay. It's a good number league-wide. For him, just okay. We kind of hope that number would be higher. 238 average, unfortunately, is Mike Trout now. And that's, nothing has really changed with Trout. He's got 17 home runs. He's mashing the baseball just like he did last season. He doesn't run anymore. He's got 2 steals. That's kind of difficult to get excited about. If you look at his performance, let's look at his performance the last 3 years. Since 2023, he's played 181 games, 45 home runs, 99 RBIs, 107 runs scored. Pretty much my Trout. 10 steals, 247 average. Ugh. And, he's really morphed into, and we've talked about this previously, a power hitter that gets on base. And he's basically Kyle Schwarber at this point without the consistency and without the ability to play 140 games. So he's not Kyle Schwarber, but he's that type of offensive player, which again is fine. It's just that, if you remember Mike Trout when he was going, 20-20, 30-20, when he almost went, almost go 30-50 that first full season. He's just not that guy anymore. We'll see how many games he can play. Remember, he's played since the last 5 years. He's played 100 games one time. He's up to 70 this year. He's fine. And again, his pace of 17 home runs and, in 70 games, it's a 35 home run pace. But 41 RBIs gives him, he would have a 35-80-70 season. Yeah, you expect more out of that Trout. All right, Jackson Chourio on the other side of things. Jackson Chourio, a 22-year-old at the start of his career versus Trout, is kind of starting to wind down, unfortunately, despite not being at an age where you would hope that'd be the case. Chourio had a 3-run home run on Sunday. Chourio's got a base hit in 11 consecutive games. His OPS is up to only 758, which is not a good number. Let's be fair about this. It's not a good number, but it is the highest the number has been in 2 months. And Chourio has been really interesting this season because Chourio is and don't take it all too far here, but he's basically Randy Arozarena right now, with a little bit better numbers, right? I'm not saying that's who he will be. Remember, he's barely 22 years old. He's 22-year-old and he's 21 in 4 months. I gave him a whole extra year. He's barely 21. He's 21 and a third is Chourio. So saying that he's already to the level of Randy Arozarena is pretty good. Clearly, there's an issue here with his ability to take a walk. We've talked about it. It is up a little bit. Still 4% is dreadful. 20% strikeout rate is really good. Isolated power marks basically the same as last year. Batting average and slugging are basically the same. On base percentage is down a little bit. Interestingly with Chourio, the expected data, the StatCast data is not great. 309 expected WOBA, that's below league average. What do we got here? 7.6% barrel rate, below average. 87.9 mile an hour exit velocity, below league average. Still a huge fan. He's still on pace to easily go 2020. He's got 16 home runs, 16 steals. He's on pace to go 2020, 100, 100. And there's still room to grow. If you got a dynasty or keeper league and you got Jackson Chourio, you are in spectacular shape. He is going to be a phenomenal fantasy player. I hope he can improve the finer points of his game to become a fantastic baseball player, but he'll be a fantastic fantasy player regardless, and that's what we're really concerned with. Kyle Stowers went 5 for 5 yesterday, hit 3 home runs. Kyle Stowers. I wonder if the Orioles would like to have him back right now. Oof. So, hey, look, Tyler Rogers is pitching well right now. Yeah, okay. That's not really fair trade. No, it wasn't then. It's not now. 3 home runs yesterday. He's 9 for his last 18 is Stowers. He's actually the last month hitting 337 with a 1,200 OPS. The last 2 weeks, he's got 6 home runs in 13 games, batting 385 with a 1,300 OPS. Kyle Stowers is legit. Now, I don't think there's any question about him being legit. I mean, I think that that's a statement most people would have said, yeah, that makes sense. This guy was a top 10 prospect with the Orioles years ago. There was questions about his hit tool, not about his ability to power the baseball, though. And, he's hitting 293 right now. Again, he's on pace to push 30 home runs, which is, given his profile, doable. The question about the 293 average is up in the air, though. And I would say that given his overall game, which includes a 28% strikeout rate, which includes a 366 batting average of balls in play, which includes a 1.0 ground ball to fly ball ratio, I would say that, he's a 250-60 hitter who's batting 293 right now. So I would expect the batting average to tick downward in the second half with Stowers. I wouldn't expect the home run pace to slow much or the run production pace. So he's a really good young ball player. He's going to hit 20 home runs for the first time this season. He's got, again, a chance to hit 30 this year for the first time. 30, 75, 75 with maybe 10 steals. It's a pretty good season for a guy his first full year in the big leagues. But he's been white hot here the last 2 weeks. Wanted to give him a shout out. Way to go, Kyle Stowers. All right. Nick Kurtz. You heard of Nick Kurtz? Yeah, Nick Kurtz, you've heard of him. 2 of 4 with a 2-run home run yesterday. Kurtz he was really slow to start. Then he really picked things up. Then he and then he took off again. This guy's got 17 home runs and 235 plate appearances. You need 502 to qualify for the batting title. So he's on pace to basically play a full season and hit 40 home runs as a rookie with a 333 on base percentage. So if you picked up Nick Kurtz, he's a winner. If you picked up Jack Caglione, right? That's the nature of the beast here when we talk about young players. That's why they're so difficult in the fantasy space that first season in particular. Caglione's been terrible. Nick Kurtz has been terrific. Now his teammate Tyler Soderstrom hit a 2-run home run on Sunday, and very few people are talking about Soderstrom because of Kurtz and because of that he's slowed down. Remember when we talked about all camp with all preseason first month of April with Soderstrom? I said on this show repeatedly, I said in articles and Discord and all that over to fantasyguru.com. Remember, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Said in all these places, I said Tyler Soderstrom's going to hit 250 and go 2085, 2080, 2580, somewhere right around there. Well, he's hitting 262. And he has 18 home runs and 56 RBIs. So he's on pace to basically go 250, 2580. So, again, it's been a little uneven. It was a great start and then slow, but he's continuing to play on a consistent basis, continuing to produce. A little bit overshadowed by Nick Kurtz at this point. But if Soderstrom goes 250, 330 with an on-base percentage, 2585, that's a hell of a season. Athletics do have some pieces. We'll see if they ever get into their ballpark in Vegas, but they do have some pieces. Speaking of another guy in the corner infield, Christian Encarnacion Strand. This one's, I mean, the Reds, as we talked about on the show, Heimer Candelario was released. He's gone. Christian Encarnacion Strand, though, not producing, and though he seemingly had an opportunity to grab a roster spot and hold it because of the loss of Heimer Candelario, not so much. He was sent down to AAA. Noelvi Marte is their third baseman now. Spencer Steer is their first baseman now. Steer's been on a heater for about a month now. Noelvi Marte is back, and he's, obviously the future of this team, the current and future of this team at third base. As we talked about with CES, it's just tough to get all these guys in the lineup. And with CES not really having a defensive position or not being a plus defender, he was demoted. It also doesn't help that he hasn't hit. Spent 200 with a 234 on base percentage. Oof. So CES continues to be a power hitting potential player, a guy with massive pop and the ability to hit any pitch 400 feet, but he has not, and to this point simply hasn't been a consistent player. Reds are sending him down, hoping that he can get going here. He's 25 now. I'm not saying he's Reese Hines, or Hines. Starting to get a little nervous though. To me, 250, 30 home run first baseman, the Christian Walker types are fine if you can get that. Christian Walker himself slowed this year, right? But if you can get that consistency, great. CS, we don't know we can get that. I know he can be that, but we just don't know if we can get that. And then finally, before we talk some FAAB, Francisco Alvarez, who's been demoted, who really struggled offensively for the Mets, has been sent down to the minor leagues. Yesterday, he had a home run. He hit 2 doubles. And, if you look at his work since he was demoted, he's got a 6.72 slugging percentage down at AAA. He's played 18 games, has 18 RBIs. He's played 18 games and has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 home runs. So I don't know how long he's going to be down on the farm, Alvarez, but he's clearly going to be up, I would assume, if not by the end of July, early August here, because he has gone down there and blasted away. He's pulling the baseball more. He's lifting it in the air a little bit more. Obviously, you have to think his confidence has grown as he stands up straighter with all the success he's had. But 1,000 OPS in 3 weeks of games down at AAA. Francisco Alvarez, do worse than holding. A lot of people have Sammy Basayo. I'd be stashing Francisco Alvarez over Basayo. I don't know when the Orioles are going to call him up. I don't know what their plan is. Basayo might have some split issues anyway at this point of his career and development. Francisco Alvarez, though, probably sitting there on the waiver wire in a lot of setups. Brandon A says, Ray, do you have a couple of arms of bats you recommend going to have a significant improvement in the second half of the season compared to the first half? That would exempt a guy like Eury Perez who wasn't hurt. Yeah, like I said, Brandon, I'm going to have a series of articles this week. I don't have names now, actually, because I haven't done the work yet. I'm going to have a series of articles this week, kind of buy and sell or get and drop. I haven't come up with the terminology yet. Basically, buy and hold for infield, outfield, and pitching. So look for those articles this week over at fantasyguru.com. Hopefully that'll help answer your question. All right, let's talk some FAAB. Let's throw it up on the screen. Every Monday we review the FAAB articles over at fantasyguru.com or on this show. We review the FAAB articles. These articles allow us the opportunity to talk about players that maybe I just didn't mention. And obviously, if they're being added in leagues, whether your FAAB is run or not, these players being added by the quote-unquote experts in the industry obviously tells you these are players that they're interested in. Looking at this first league, we're looking at the LABR 15-team mixed league. I'll pull it up here. Let's be open. I think I was in 7th place. Yeah, 7th place in the LABR league. We've talked about this. My team just hasn't gone very well. I spent a lot of money trying to make it happen. It hasn't really happened. 7 to 15 teams. This is a traditional 5x5 setup. Cannot add any player for $0. Every player added has to be added for $1 of the 100 we have. So it makes the bidding a little bit tight. I bid $4 on Jung-Hoo Lee, who had been dropped last week. I was the second bid. I couldn't go higher because I don't have the money. He went for $6 to Baseball Prospectus. I got a chance to watch him on Friday night when I went to the Giants game. It was really cool. Went to the Gotham Club at the Oracle Park there and had a nice meal and was down on the field prior to the game in Triples Alley. And, we got a chance we were hosted by a law firm that my significant other knows that she does work with. So it was a really nice event. And in that game, Jung-Hoo Lee just missed a couple of great running catches like on the warning track. But he had a couple of hits, drove in some runs. Think he's primed for a much better second half than his first half. His July has been very good, especially compared to his June. I love that addition at that price point. Again, I'm down to like $19 out of the 100. I just didn't have the money to throw around to get Jung-Hoo Lee. Cam Schlittler, as we talked about here on the show last week, fine to add him at this price point, 4 out of 100. You can see a couple of failed bids, 1, 1, and 2. Schlittler is going to be needed right now for the Yankees. There's always the chance the Yankees make a trade. In fact, I think they will make a trade on the Hill. Luis Hill is trying to work his way back into rotation here. We talked about Schlittler, who has that great stuff. His secondary pitches are questionable. His control is questionable. And there still are a lot of people that consider him, even with the improvements he's made this year, as a potential reliever long-term. So, right now, sure. And again, 4% of your budget, I'm all down for that price point. That's not too aggressive. Brady House, as you can see there, I bid $1 myself. So did someone else. Went for $2. House has done a much better job here of late. Let's pull up the numbers. I was just looking. I said like 400 last week, actually. Brady House is hitting 300 last week. I misspoke. Excuse me. I think in the case of House, he's been fine. And again, given where the Nationals are and what their expectations are, that's not bad. A 23% strikeout rate, league average. 4% walk rate. Again, a little disappointing. Batted ball data is pretty blah. But he's picked things up a little bit here of late, and he's not the worst addition in the world in a deeper league, in a shallow format. We're not looking at him. So I think most of you probably would do wise to avoid Brady House. Andrew Vaughn for $2. Dr. Roto, as we've discussed many times, Dr. Roto's $2 bid is what he bids every time. I would recommend changing bid prices up. Vaughn has had a tremendous run here since being promoted by the Brewers. Obviously, the injury to Rhys Hoskins is not considered long-term, so it's unclear what will happen when Hoskins returns. But 6 for his first 14 with a couple of home runs and 10 RBIs for Andrew Vaughn. Really could not have gone any better in his promotion to the White Sox. Obviously, his numbers this season overall are atrocious. His ability to live up to his draft day cost, non-existent in Major League Baseball. In the fantasy game, I mean, what's a guy hitting 250, 2070 worth? So, again, he's blazing hot right now. The addition in this league for $2, a failed bit of a buck, totally fine. It's, again, a deeper league, 15 team. Is he somebody that I can see playing every day the rest of the way? Possibly, but it's going to get tight when Hoskins gets back. So he's going to have to keep hitting. And then the Brewers are going to have to get a little creative with keeping him in the lineup on a consistent basis. Next up, we've got Michael Lorenzen for $1 to Zach Steinhorn. Joey Cantillo, who pitched kind of poorly yesterday, but's in the rotation now with the Luis Ortiz situation. He went for $1. Romy Gonzalez for $1. We've talked about Gonzalez here on the show. Destroying left-handed pitching, not hitting right-handed pitching at all. Does qualify at multiple positions. So totally fine at the $1 price point. Love that, actually, in this deep setup. Kevin Ginkel for $1. Who's closing for the Diamondbacks? Is it Ginkel? I mean, Miller's down. Puck is down. Martinez is down. Good addition for $1 and Kevin Ginkel. And then Adrian Morejon for $1 and Freddie Fermin for $1. Those people looking for some depth there at those positions. As you can see there, let's start about the bottom one. Tout Wars didn't run FAAB this week. So, there's there's the All-Star break, there's days off. So there you go. So I wonder if some of your leagues are like that too. Maybe some of your leagues, everyone's leagues are different when it comes to FAAB. Some people run FAAB every day. Some people run it once a week. Some people have extended weeks. Bottom line is, it wasn't run, so there was no movement there. In the FSGA league, this is a league with $1,000 to spend, traditional 5x5 setup. This league, you can add players off the waiver wire for $0. So this is the one league I'm in of these three that we discuss every Monday that has open waivers on Monday. So after FAAB runs on Sunday night, there's a 3-hour period on Monday mornings where you can make moves. Kevin Ginkel for $99 here. That's aggressive. But hey, make that move, make that power move, especially if you are owning Diamondbacks. Which is this the league where I own both Diamondbacks? Maybe I should have spent Ginkel. I can't. In this league out of 1,000, I'm down to like $75. I'm in 8th place in this league out of the 14 teams. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the league where I lost Puck and Martinez. This is the league where I did the piggyback relievers. Thinking, look, I'm getting 32 saves from these two guys with great ratios. Kevin Ginkel for $99. Next highest bid was $41. Richard Fitz for $14. Fitz goes into the starting rotation for now for the Red Sox as Dobbins hurt his knee and is done for the year. So Fitz, fine pick up at that price point. Andrew Vaughn for $8. Failed bid for $7. Oh, so close. Adam Ramos gets him. Jordan Hicks for $6. Couple of failed bids for $1. Hicks is a middle reliever at this point for the Red Sox. He throws really hard. There is a chance that the Red Sox trade Aroldis Chapman. And if they did, maybe Hicks gets some saves. Regardless, I don't think that's a move right now that you should. I wouldn't be adding Hicks hoping that he takes over in the 9th inning, because even so, he's never really done that on a consistent basis. But hey, at that price point for that arm, fine. Cody Clemens for $5. Again, multi-position guy who's had success when he's played. That's a 14-team ad. Bryce Matthews, $5, 14-team ad. Brian Abreu, $4, failed bid for $1. Brian Abreu, who those of you that do Souls leagues know about, because we've talked about him since the preseason. I have him on multiple squads, and his ERA is 107, his WHIP is 1.1. Good numbers. 3 victories, 23 holds. He does not have a single save, so that's why he was on the waiver wire in this setup. But 66 strikeouts in 42 innings. And when, thinking about a reliever with 100 strikeouts, it's attractive in deeper leagues like this because you go to the waiver wire and what do you like? You're grabbing Hayden Birdsong. Like, what are you grabbing? So that's kind of a hedge more so than we're hoping to get saves. We're not hoping to get saves out of Brian Abreu. We're hoping to get good ratios and those significant strikeout numbers on a per inning basis. Then Sosa for $1. Morejon for $1. We just talked about it there. So pretty quiet FAAB run this weekend. As you noticed, I didn't do much. I was looking at my teams. There just wasn't much to do. And it wasn't because I didn't check. It wasn't because I didn't look. I placed a couple bids. We talked about them. I bid on House and on League. I just didn't have the funds to secure those players. So this is what we do every Monday for those of you that missed it. Usually it's more depth because we have 3 leagues that we talk about. And there's usually more player movement. But there just wasn't that much to talk about this week. Let's look a little bit here. I got some questions. David P says, happy Monday, Ray. 2 quarterback league, 10-team league. If you could get one of the top 4 quarterbacks, what round would you look for your second quarterback? And would you take Burrow as your number 1 in the first? So 2 quarterback leagues are different than superflex leagues. In a superflex league, everyone wants to play 2 quarterbacks, but you obviously don't have to. In a 2 quarterback league, which again, I don't like 2 quarterback leagues. I'm not a fan of 2 quarterback leagues. At least this is a 10-team league. The reason I'm not a fan of 2 quarterback leagues is because, David, to answer your question directly, the first couple rounds are quarterback drafts. Would I take Joe Burrow in the first round? No, I don't want to take Joe Burrow in the first round. If you don't take Joe Burrow in the first round, though, what are you going to do? You take Jared Goff in the second round? I mean, it's like, so, to me, and then Jeff Mans has said this a lot, 2 quarterback leagues are just dumb. I'm sorry, they're just dumb. They're just dumb because all you do is pick quarterbacks the first round. If I'm in a 2 quarterback league, David, and I can get one of those top 4 quarterbacks, Allen, Jackson, Hurts, or Daniels, I'm doing it. So to answer your question directly, yeah. If you have the option to take one of those guys, grab them. Then we have the ability to take a breath. Then we can make a determination on what we want to do with that second quarterback. You don't want to be chasing 2 quarterbacks in a 2-quarterback league. You don't want to be chasing 1, but it's okay. And by that I mean, if you end up with Jared Goff, if you end up with Brock Purdy, that's okay, right? Like, you don't need to have 2 top 10 quarterbacks. You don't need to have Burrow and Daniels, right? So I would say that you take the quarterback, one of the top 4 if you can. If you have to take Joe Burrow, he's not a runner, which is the reticence there to take him that early. I don't have a problem taking any of those guys in the first round in a 2-quarterback league. Again, I don't want to do it. First 4, I would definitely do it. Burrow, I might just pass. I might grab, Jamar Chase or Bijan Robinson if they're sitting there, and then just take quarterbacks to my next 2 picks. The answer to when to take your second quarterback is, I would say the following, David, and everyone else. Work in reverse. Tier up the quarterbacks. We have the rankings over at fantasyguru.com. You can sign up right now. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. We have the players ranked, right? And then also in tiers in those buckets. David and everyone else, tier the players up and work in reverse. So if there are 12 quarterbacks you love, you better go early on the quarterbacks. If there are 15 you love, if there's 22 you love, whatever that number is at the bottom, the guy you'd be comfortable with, and obviously 22 is probably not ideal in a 10-team league. Whatever that bottom level guy, if it's 17 guys you really like, if you don't want to end up in the Trevor Lawrence zone, then you got to take that second quarterback when the quarterbacks ahead of him off the board. And that's one of the things that an ADP list or a top overall list can't tell you. So bottom line, David, find the number of quarterbacks you are comfortable with, let's say 16. Take that quarterback in the first round. When your pick comes up in the second round, if there's only 2 quarterbacks left in your top 16, you probably got to take one. If there's 6 still left in your top 16, you can wait probably around, right? So that's the way I would answer that question. At least, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully it does there. Angelo got some comments here. I drafted him and I dropped him and added him again last night. Oh, that's good. He's going to be back in the second half of the Mets, hoping to pitch pretty well. Rubby17 says he picked up Manic but didn't activate him yet. There you go. Angelo said Cade Povich and Zebby Matthews look decent in the rehab outings. Those are obviously deeper league guys, matchup-based guys. Zebby Matthews a little bit more intriguing than Cade Povich, in my opinion. We'll see. We'll see what happens there with those 2 guys in the second half. 2 youngsters that should see a fair amount of starts for their squads. Remember, go to fantasyguru.com. Get signed up right now. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. You can get the baseball package. Everything baseball is in one package. Everything. Football, there's multiple packages. There's seasonal, there's DFS, there's wagering. You can also get all those in one package if you would like. You can always send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. I think our VIP Platinum package is gone in terms of having the discount on the website. I don't know if you can still get the discount if you send in a note to Discord, to the chat room, excuse me, to the email address. Too many rooms. Support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com. Maybe you can get a discount on the all-in VIP Platinum package, which is everything we do. Every sport we do, every article, every chat room, every podcast, every live stream, every ranking set. Send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com to join us. Again, I'm Ray Flowers. Follow me on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, all those places at the Ray Flowers. Look for my work over at fantasyguru.com and the football and baseball side of things before we go. I am part of, as I teased earlier, I am part of the FSGA Champions League football draft that is tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 o'clock Pacific on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. It's a 14-team league. The traditional setup, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, flex, kicker, defense. I know, kicker, defense, but they're still there. So 14 teams, 10 starters, and 6 bench spots. So that draft is at, again, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio tonight. I have the number 2 pick. So my question is obviously, do I go wide receiver or running back? Neither one is wrong. I'm kind of thinking if Jamar Chase doesn't go 1, I'm going to take him. Now remember, over at fantasyguru.com, we had Jamar Chase as number 1 last year. It's not revisionist history, not being let's take him 1 this year because of how good he was last year. We had him number 1 last year. Do I go Jamar Chase? Do I go Justin Jefferson? Do I go Bijan Robinson? I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. 14-team league, it's a little different. Obviously, deeper, longer run. I'm at the end there, so there's a long wait before I pick again. Look into the show tonight on SiriusXM at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to see how I do. I will also be reviewing that team here on Wednesday. Tomorrow we'll do the baseball talk for the first half of the show. Then we'll do the second half of the show talking news and notes and all of that with Armando Marsal talking football. On Wednesday, I'll do baseball the first half of the show. And then the second half of the show, no guest on Wednesday. I'll review my FSGA team on Wednesday. So look forward to that on Wednesday. Oh, by the way, I should have said that. That's not true. I'm not actually here tomorrow. Armando Marsal will be here with Justin Fensterman. So let's review this before I screw everything up. Obviously, I was here today. Tomorrow's Armando Marsal. Tomorrow's Armando Marsal and Justin Fensterman. Wednesday, I'll be here by myself. Justin's flipping around. I got some errands, things I got to do tomorrow, family stuff. So Justin will be here tomorrow on Tuesday. He won't be here on Wednesday. I'll be here on Wednesday. Tomorrow, Justin and Armando. Wednesday is me. Again, first half of the show will be baseball. Second half of the show, we'll review how I did in the FSGA draft tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. All that kind of good stuff. I appreciate y'all. Ray, your pick for the home run derby, I don't even know who's in it. I haven't been paying any attention. I don't have a pick. James Wood, you're going with that. There we go. Rubby, 17, likes Rooker. Olsen is in there. I don't have a pick. I don't pick stuff for the home run derby. I don't even watch the home run derby, to be honest. I'll watch it. I'll have it on in the background, but I'm doing the draft tonight. That kind of stuff. The home run derby is kind of like the dunk contest for me. It had its place years ago. Now it's like I don't care. So I don't really care. But hopefully it's a good event. There you go. Rubby 17 says Genty with the number 2 pick. I'm not taking Genty at number 2. Take Bijan Robinson over Genty. That's my opinion. And we'll see how it goes here. But Cal Raleigh, according to Angelo, though Kyle says Cal Raleigh's going to run out of gas. I don't know what you're basing that on, Kyle, but hey, maybe you guys know more than me. Maybe you should be handicapping the home run derby. Hopefully everyone enjoys it. Did you know that Major League Baseball had their draft last night? And they already played their all-star game? There's an article Jeff Mans was sending out to us this morning. Why doesn't Major League Baseball do a better job with this? Why is everything on top of each other? Why is the marketing so hard for baseball? Why is the all-star game for baseball in the minor leagues not this week when Major League Baseball is off? Why is it on the weekend when Major League teams are still playing? Why is the draft on a Sunday when teams are still playing? I really wish they do a better job there. Anyway, go to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Justin Fenson will be here tomorrow with you with Armando Marsal at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will return on Wednesday, obviously doing double duty here and then on Sirius XM with Jeff Mans. I'll be here on Wednesday to talk baseball the first half of the show, as well as talking the FSGA football draft that will take place tonight. I'm Ray Flowers. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you all. Head over to FG, click that subscribe tab, get signed up, send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. I'm Ray Flowers. Thanks for listening. The show will be back tomorrow, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It's Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.